16 teams around the U.S. Watkins, a junior from Compton, is sitting out this season to recover from a knee injury. Watkins' NIL revenue reportedly is $765,000. She has endorsement deals with Nike, United Airlines, Fanatics, Ritz Crackers, and Degree Underarm deodorant. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, standing with you in perilous times. If you've been impacted by the federal government shutdown or the discontinuation of SNAP benefits, you can find a food bank near you that's offering free groceries by going to lafoodbank.org or call 211. Additionally, LA County offers free meals at certain parks. There are meals and snacks for kids and seniors. Visit parks.lacounty.gov to find out which centers are offering which programs and to register in advance. And in addition to offering 2 free meals per day for all students, the LA Unified School District provides weekend meal kits for its students by request. The meal kits can be picked up on Fridays at grab-and-go locations. Please visit lausd.org/Cafe LA. That's lausd.org/CAFELA. We keep us safe. We keep us provided for. We keep us connected. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kink out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea and I'll get my ping pong. This is dead heavy, can't hit the bass, boom, I'm ready. Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beach shade like money. This go all alone, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm diamond, you know I glow up. Hey, so let's go. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight, so watch me bring down fire, set the night light. Hey, shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite.
I'm Tavis, Smiley. Glad to have you with us in this hour of our program. As promised, a conversation with Cornell University scholar, managing editor of the Nuclear Times, and executive director of Oregon Physicians for Social Responsibility, Vincent Intondi. We'll reflect on the new Netflix doc a little later in this hour called House of Dynamite. Hence the song. And his work at the intersection of race and the Black Freedom Movement. I'm talking the National Conference of Black Mayors. They linked the nuclear buildup to a lack of federal funding for cities and advocated for nuclear disarmament. They've been doing that for years. Ron Dellums was the co-founder of the Congressional Black Caucus, prominent opponent of Reagan's nuclear policies. Jesse Jackson Sr. made nuclear disarmament a central part of his '84 presidential campaign. Paul Robeson connected nuclear abolition to the labor movement and did it brilliantly. Malcolm X, Brother Malcolm, linked the fear of nuclear annihilation to the struggles of poverty and racism. Coretta Scott King worked with peace and feminist groups and highlighted the connection between peace and civil rights, stating, and I quote, that they must work together ultimately because peace and civil rights are part of the same problem, close quote. And of course, her husband, the person I regard as the greatest American this country's ever produced, Dr. King, was a strong believer in disarmament and a member of the National Committee for a Sane Nuclear Policy. But that's just me talking. Listen to Dr. King in his own words.
I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I refuse to accept the cynical notion that nation after nation must spiral down a militaristic stairway into the hell of nuclear annihilation. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. I believe that even amid today's mortar bursts and whining bullets, there is still hope for a brighter tomorrow. I believe that wounded justice, lying prostrate on the blood-flowing streets of our nations, can be lifted from this dust of shame to reign supreme among the children of men.
Indeed, even before Dr. King uttered those powerful words, dating back to 1945, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, African Americans were among the first to protest the atomic bombings in those cities. And so we got a long history here that we should be proud of when it comes to nuclear disarmament. And now, in this era, Donald Trump is once again talking about nuclear testing and maybe another arms race. And with that, I bring into this conversation Vincent Intondi, Cornell University scholar, managing editor of the New York Times, Nuclear Times, that is, not the New York Times, the Nuclear Times. I say New York Times too often on this program. The Nuclear Times and executive director of the Oregon Physicians for Social Responsibility. Professor Intondi, good to have you on the program, sir. How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
It's my great honor to have you on the program. Let me just start with this, and we'll build from there. How do we read in advance, moments, in fact, in advance of his meeting with the leader of China, Donald Trump starts talking about nuclear testing, and that runs the risk of bringing us another arms race. Trump is always popping off, but how did you read those comments days ago in advance of that meeting?
It was terrifying and testing. They don't do nuclear testing. That's the Department of Energy. He said that China, within a short time, was going to surpass us or equal us with nuclear weapons. That's not going to happen in the time frame he said. So it was alarming that nobody knew in the field what he was talking about. Is he talking about testing delivery systems and missiles? Is he talking about starting to actually do underground testing again, which would be catastrophic in terms of what it will do to the environment and most importantly to human beings, and historically what it has done to people of color in this country and indeed around the world. So we're completely going the wrong way on this issue, and that's just another further statement in that regard.
Just getting started with Vincent Intondi, Cornell. Come on, Tavis, get it together. Not Columbia, not the New York Times, Cornell and the Nuclear Times. Just getting started in this hour. I am anxious. I hate to put Professor Intondi in the mind of Donald Trump, but I'm still not clear what animated that. What brought that out of Trump's mouth in that moment? Again, hard to get inside of his head, but there obviously was some rationale, some thinking, some reason for his doing that, saying that when he did. That's the question. Why is Donald Trump talking about nuclear testing and bringing that back? Maybe Professor Intondi can help us unpack that, and I got a great deal more questions, of course, for him as we move through this hour. But this is a dangerous topic for Donald Trump to be raising, and we know how reckless he is and how feckless he is in every other aspect of his life. This ain't something you want to play with. Not nuclear weapons, not nuclear testing, not an arms race. I'm glad we have an expert to talk about it with us in this hour. More with Cornell Professor Vincent Intondi when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on autopsy, then click on request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Professor Vincent Intondi, Cornell University scholar, managing editor of the Nuclear Times, executive director of Oregon Physicians for Social Responsibility. Delighted to have him on to help us understand what is going through Donald Trump's head, his mind, his brain, as he has been talking of late about bringing back nuclear testing, which could, of course, lead to another arms race. Let me just add this wrinkle to this conversation, and I'll let Professor Intondi run with it. Senior Russian officials yesterday, in fact, said that they were still waiting for a White House explanation. Here I am asking Professor Intondi why Donald Trump said that. I don't know, and apparently the Russians, Vladimir Putin and the Russians don't know either. So they're looking for explanation about what Trump meant when he said he'd instructed the Pentagon to resume nuclear weapons testing. What they have said, Russia that is that if the U.S. resumes nuclear testing, they will too. That's a dangerous statement, hence my comment about an impending arms race. Trump has not specified what kind of test he's referring to, or whether this included the detonation of nuclear warheads when he announced on the 29th of October that the U.S. would immediately resume nuclear weapons tests, a move he said was needed to ensure the country keeps up with its rival nuclear powers. You heard Professor Intondi moments ago unpack all the lies that Donald Trump made in that one statement. For his part, which again underscores what Professor Intondi said moments ago, the U.S. Department of Energy, which does the testing, not the Department of Defense or War, as he calls it, Secretary Chris Wright, whose agency is responsible for nuclear weapons testing, has since clarified that the testing ordered by Trump will not involve nuclear explosions. Instead, Secretary Wright says, at least, the testing involves all the other parts of a nuclear weapon to make sure they are functioning and can set up a nuclear blast. It is so often the case that the sycophants around Donald Trump, his staff has to walk back stupid stuff that he said.
About actually called for the resumption of nuclear testing. So he's following the playbook that was made for him. He also did this 2 days after we got to the 100 days till the New START treaty would expire. That is the last nuclear arms treaty we have with Russia. And if that expires, there will be no guardrails in terms of creating an arms race. Now, Russia has said they will abide by the current numbers for at least another year to hopefully renegotiate something. And Donald Trump has not responded to that. I believe he was going to respond to it, but that was the same day he got distracted with saying with his campaign that Tylenol causes autism. So we know how easily distracted he is. So if he wants to do nuclear testing in terms of actually exploding them, who is going to stop him? Because we haven't seen anybody stop him yet. So that is the terrifying aspect of this. And we'll talk about this, of course, with House of Dynamite probably later, but the reality is that Donald Trump has the sole authority to launch nuclear weapons and destroy life on this planet within 20 minutes, anytime he wants, with no reason given, no checks and balances. That is the system that is currently in place.
There is so much inside of Project 2025, and this won't surprise you, of course, this program and this audience, and for that matter, talk radio across the country, progressive talk radio, has been talking about Project 2025 for the last year or two. We know what their agenda was. They laid it out clearly, and yet Donald Trump prevailed in that election, never mind all the damaging stuff, all the damning stuff inside of Project 2025. What we don't often talk about, and I'm glad you're here to remind us of it, is that this was one of the planks, if you will, in the Project 2025 platform. So I ask, given your reference to it, why, of all the other issues that they have addressed and could have addressed in Project 2025, the right, those who are, pushing Donald Trump in many respects, is a tool being used by those who are advancing agendas. I said many times, Donald Trump is wrong almost all the time, but to my mind, he's never really been a political ideologue. He's an empty vessel in which a lot of people are pouring a lot of stuff. He's the guy, pulling the lever, but he ain't the guy making all these decisions. So why? That's a long way of asking why. Nuclear testing, or the resumption of nuclear testing, is a plank in the Project 2025 project. What's that about? Why do they want that?
If I had to guess, two things. One, that those folks that created Project 2025 and support that plan and Trump have an utter contempt for human life, and in many cases, Black life. On a more immediate side, or the other piece of this, is the weapons manufacturers. Of course, President Eisenhower warned us about this in his last speech when he left office, of the rise of the military-industrial complex. The amount of money that Northrop Grumman, that Raytheon, that Lockheed Martin will make in spending billions of dollars on nuclear weapons, when we have enough to end life on the planet and to test those nuclear weapons, and all of this that comes with that, the production, the deployment, is just, again, we are spending $56.8 billion a year on nuclear weapons. That is $107,000 a minute and $1,700 a second. So like most things in this country, it comes down to money.
None of this Professor Intondi, surprises me or our audience, specifically your reference to the right's contempt for Black life. Ain't nobody surprised by that. But last I checked, nuclear weapons don't discriminate, so they can have a contempt for Black life, but one of those things goes off, we ain't the only ones who gonna catch it.
True, but the people that do possess nuclear weapons are prejudiced and do have racism. And so when we look at the production of nuclear weapons in Hanford and Savannah and Oak Ridge, it was African Americans who had the lowest paying, worst jobs with no physical protection at all, no medical help when they were building nuclear weapons. It was, when we look at nuclear weapons testing, it has been the Marshall Islands. It has been French testing in the Sahara and Africa, which the fallout hurt the Ghanaian people in the cocoa industry. It has been Kazakhstan. It has been Australian Aborigines. It has been French Polynesia. So again, always the people of color. It has been Native Americans and indigenous communities with the high rises of cancer because of nuclear testing in the United States. When we look at the threats of nuclear weapons, we have threatened to use them in Korea, in Vietnam, in the Middle East, and of course use them in Japan. So for me, I don't see how we can separate the issue of race from nuclear weapons, especially when we look at the amount of money that we are spending on them, and then who are adversely affected by the programs that are cut as a result of that.
Yep. In your book, African Americans Against the Bomb, you and other historians increasingly have started to remind us that history has largely ignored the role of Black activists, the ones you just mentioned, in the peace and anti-nuclear movements, a narrative, again, that you and others are now challenging in modern scholarship, and we are grateful for your text, again, African Americans Against the Bomb. No naivete here, but why has the role of black activists in the peace and anti-nuclear movement been so long ignored?
Well, Ralph Ellison says it, third line of the book, right? I'm invisible, you see, because you choose not to see me. And so what happens, especially with Black history, is I kind of look at it as a giant brick wall, and we're still filling in those bricks. It really wasn't until the late 60s when you had the rise of Black studies programs and activists demanding that history be taught from that point of view, from their point of view, and not a top-down racist white Southern male point of view. And so we're still filling in those bricks. And when I started this research, I noticed a giant brick that was missing. The other piece is that we like to take, especially with Black history and Black leaders, we like to put them in nice, neat, categorical little boxes in your textbook for Black History Month, and that covers them, that encapsulates them. So for somebody like Dr. King, we like to take him and preserve him on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and act as if that encapsulated his whole life and ignore this entire piece, because this, of course, isn't safe. This is more of the dangerous stuff. And so that's what we do over and over again. And when I started this, this book came out in 2015, there was pretty much nothing written about this subject, which was great because it was going to be original research, but bad because where do I start? Now, what I've been pleased with is, as you've mentioned, the kind of explosion now since, no pun intended, since 2015, and certainly not just because of my book, of scholars who are now looking at this history and writing this history. And it's so important because if you are a Black student and you are trying to look at history and even find a career path, you need to find somebody that looks like you and that identifies with you, that you identify with, you share a common ancestry with. And if you are learning about this history and you don't see anybody that looks like you, why? About and they fought about. So now I see myself in this fight as well. And so that's why I think one of the reasons why it's so important.
Yep. There are arguments, obviously, for disarmament. There are arguments against disarmament. We'll get into some of these arguments and let Professor Intondi sort of set the record straight as he sees it. But in terms of arguments for disarmament, first and foremost, humanitarian concerns. Nuclear weapons have the potential for immense loss of life and long-term environmental change, environmental damage, I should say. Global security. The proliferation of nuclear weapons increases the risk of their use, whether by accident, miscalculation, or design. Any number of reasons for disarmament. There are two of them. On the other side, arguments persist against disarmament, including critics who argue that nuclear weapons act as a deterrent against large-scale conventional wars of nuclear attacks from other nations, that age-old argument of deterrence. And then there's the argument that some make that without nuclear weapons, conventional wars will become more frequent and potentially more destructive. We'll let Professor Intondi, when we come forward in this conversation, talk about the arguments for and the arguments against and sort of tell us where the truth lies. Before I do any of that, though, I mentioned House of Dynamite. It is a new Netflix film, and to my mind, it is a reminder of our folly in this era of Donald Trump, where he's talking once again about nuclear testing, which leads potentially to an arms race. Here is a trailer for the Netflix film, A House of Dynamite.
You okay, Sergeant?
Put up Stratcom's audio.
10 seconds. 9. 8.
I said before with the chips.
Hey, we're good, man. I'm a slob.
5.
And to hell with her, shouldn't have left it
4.
like that.
3. 2. 1.
Confirm impact. Confirm impact. Stand by, confirm.
Hold.
Come on, what are you waiting for?
It's negative.
Negative impact.
Object remains inbound.
We did everything right? Right? We did every thing right.
Some sound from the new Netflix film, A House of Dynamite. Professor Intondi, got 2 minutes here now. We can continue, of course, when we come forward. But just talk to me about this new project and what the takeaways can be. Nothing gets our attention quite like film, sir.
Yes, I think film has an enormous impact, especially if we look historically at the day after and others that have, really changed the minds, even at that time, the 1980s with Ronald Reagan. This film is a and to replace those people with who we have in there now. That is one of the most frightening things, that, of course. And then you realize that the film is 20 minutes, really. I mean, the film itself is almost 2 hours, but the actual time is 20 minutes. 20 minutes to destroy life on the planet. And then lastly, I think two other things is that there's no villain in the film. The villain is the system, the actual system put in place that could cause nuclear annihilation. And the other big piece of this is missile defense, where there's the famous line in the film that says it cost $50 million or $50 billion, and all we got was it's a coin flip, and it's a bullet trying to hit another bullet. And actually, it's actually cost $63 billion, and we have on our testing a 55% accuracy rate. So it just shows you that the idea of Golden Dome and Star Wars and missile defense is a complete fallacy and has never worked and will never work. It's a complete waste of money, and just how dangerous of a time that we are in right now.
You heard Professor Intondi say a moment ago that in this film, the villain is the system. When we come forward, I want to ask him directly, how villainous is the system? How villainous is the system, number one? And there is some evidence that Senate Democrats are fighting to block Trump's reckless and unnecessary call to restart nuclear testing, but Democrats are proving themselves to be, speaking of reckless, they've proven themselves to be feckless. And so I want to ask him what checks and balances there are. His point earlier, and we see this every day, nobody stopped Donald Trump as yet. We'll see what happens from the fallout of these Jeffrey Epstein files that are being released, thousands of pages being released today, even as we speak. But nothing has stopped him as yet. So are Democrats up to this fight, since they caved on the other fight? Are they up to this fight to block him from restarting nuclear testing to the extent they can? A great deal more to cover. Once again, the new film on Netflix is called A House of Dynamite. Our guest in this hour for the rest of this hour, the expert, Vincent Intondi, Cornell University scholar, managing editor of the Nuclear Times, executive director of Oregon Physicians for Social Responsibility. Glad to have him on. More with him when we come forward on Tavis, Smiley.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Senator Dick Durbin is defending his vote to end the shutdown after backlash from Democrats.
I share their opinions of this administration, but cannot accept a strategy which wages political battle at the expense of my neighbor's paycheck or the food for his children.
The bill funds SNAP through next September and keeps most of the government running until January 30th. Black Congresswoman Terry Sewell visited the Selma Area Food Bank, which reports a 30% spike in demand during the shutdown. She's pushing for federal funding to protect SNAP and keep food banks serving families in Alabama's Black Belt. And TMZ says Wendy Williams has been reevaluated and does not have frontotemporal dementia. Doctors found no sign of the condition that put her under guardianship in 2022, and her legal team now plans to fight to restore her independence. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Families have been
Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers have an early season test to find out how good they really are without LeBron. They're in Oklahoma City tonight to take on the defending NBA champions. OKC has the NBA's best record at 11-1, and they're 5-0 at home. At 8-3, the Lakers have the third best record in the Western Conference. 6:30 tip-off tonight on ESPN. The Clippers are at home tonight against Denver. The Clippers are trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. USC women's basketball star Juju Watkins is using some of her NIL money to invest in Boston Legacy FC, a new franchise in the National Women's Soccer League, a pro league with 16 teams around the U.S. Watkins, a junior from Compton, is sitting out this season to recover from a knee injury. Watkins' NIL revenue reportedly is $765,000. She has endorsement deals with Nike, United Airlines, Fanatics, Ritz Crackers, and Degree Underarm Deodorant. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This Thanksgiving at Total Wine & More, find bourbons and Cabernets that you adore. Our helpful guides are so friendly and nice. So many bottles to try at the lowest price. So gather with friends as you sit down to eat. Grateful for all who made Thanksgiving complete.
With curbside pickup and delivery available and the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Vincent Intondi, Cornell University scholar, managing editor of the Nuclear Times, and executive director of Oregon Physicians for Social Responsibility. We heard his reflections a moment ago, at least initially, on this new Netflix film. It's called A House of Dynamite, in the context of his work on the intersection of race and nuclear weapons. If you missed the first half hour of this dialogue, you missed a good one about this intersection of race and nuclear weapons, nuclear disarmament. and the Black Freedom Movement go hand in hand. We played a clip earlier from Dr. King talking about nuclear annihilation, and Coretta Scott King and Malcolm X and Paul Robeson and Jesse Jackson Sr. and Ron Dellums and the National Council of Black Mayors and many others. This is that we are not a Johnny-come-lately to this conversation about nuclear annihilation. Indeed, as I said earlier, again, in case you've just tuned in, that black folk were among the first to protest the atomic bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki back in 1945. Why are we talking about this? Glad you asked, because Donald Trump is talking about it. He has been popping off of late, talking about bringing back nuclear testing, which would open the door to another arms race. Trump, talking about testing once again, has now led Russia to say that if we test, they gonna test. So he's opened up a door to a dangerous reality, one that we thought we were making progress on, albeit slowly, but moving in the right direction on disarmament. And now here comes Trump swinging the door wide open again to a potential arms race. Professor Intondi reminded us that this plank about once again testing for nuclear is in Project 2025. So again, none of what they are doing should surprise us. If you read Project 2025, I'd almost forgotten, in fact, had forgotten, to be honest, that it was one of the planks in their plan. And so all this is working according to what they laid out when they wrote Project 2025 and were successful at getting Donald Trump elected. So they're running their agenda. Back to this new Netflix film called A House of Dynamite. Professor Intondi said a moment ago that the villain in this film, which stars one Idris Elba, so if you don't care about the issue, you should, but I know y'all love y'all some Idris. So I know you'll check it out because Idris is in it. Again, it's on Netflix. It's called A House of Dynamite. There's enough enough reason to make you want to tune in just to see him. But you said that in this film, the villain is the system. So I want to ask, just point blank, how villainous to your mind is the system?
It can't be any worse. I mean, we're talking about a system that can eliminate, I'm not exaggerating, eliminate life on the planet. And climate change literally in 20 minutes. And there's no do-overs, there's no going back. And the system is set up so that the president of the United States has the sole authority to do this, as you saw in the film. The president, Idris Elba, takes out his card of codes, and he has a 32-year-old officer sitting next to him on the plane, giving him the binder, and he categorizes the binder of how bad he wants to bomb countries with nuclear weapons as rare, medium, and well done. And the president of the United States can punch in the codes, whatever place he wants to eliminate, and that's it. There is no congressional approval. There is no military approval. There is no checks and balances. There's no Supreme Court. That is it. That is sole authority. And that was the process put in place since 1945 and continues today. So it is catastrophic and it is the biggest existential threat to the world. Now, certainly not into people's everyday lives. There are, from ICE to police brutality and so many other issues that are more existential in the immediacy, but this is something that can, again, eliminate life on the planet, which is why, to go back to originally Dr. King, he would say consistently, what does it matter if we achieve all this social justice if we're dead from nuclear war? It makes absolutely no sense.
To your point now, what agency, what power do Senate Democrats in particular, again, they've let us down of late with this big cave, but what agency, what power do they have to in any way push back, to fight back, to block Trump's reckless and unnecessary call to restart nuclear testing?
So there are a number of resolutions that have been proposed in the House and in the Senate. They can be confusing, especially for people that don't live in this space every day like I do. So not for a self-promotion, but if the Nuclear Times, the most recent article we have on the cover, actually breaks down these resolutions in a way that everyday people can understand and get through. So there are a number of resolutions that can be passed in Congress, but the Democrats don't have the power in Congress right now. And quite frankly, as we just saw with this cave and historically, I don't have any confidence that they will do the right thing on this issue, even if they have power. And a part of that is that when we get back to the weapons manufacturers, even if you have a Democrat who is represents a district in the House, you have to understand that they for a lot of places, this is a jobs program. So, for example, I'm originally from Syracuse, New York. And when this book came out and I was doing a talk up there, many of the folks in the crowd said, we agree with you. We want to eliminate nuclear weapons. However, Lockheed Martin is the main employer in this town. And so we just need another job. So that House representative is not going to go against Lockheed if that's the person that's employing their voters. So that's how this thing continues to be tied to both economics and the military industrial complex and the weapons manufacturers.
Say more about that military industrial complex. It is never lost on me after doing this for decades now. That all you do is follow the money. I don't care what the crisis is, just follow the money. Say a word about the money.
Correct. Billions we are spending on nuclear weapons when we don't need to, when we, again, have enough to end life on the planet. There is no need for it. Deterrence doesn't work. That's been shown time and time again, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And so when you have these weapons manufacturers that are not just employing people all over the place and expanding, but think about how much money they are giving to college and universities. So you have a university and their thing is, oh, that will check our box for, helping out diverse communities. And Howard will say, look at how much we're creating all, engineers and jobs. What they're doing is actually training people how to make nuclear weapons. If we look at Johns Hopkins, the amount of money, I think there's no other school that gets more money from weapons manufacturers, from nuclear weapons making producers than Johns Hopkins. And if you compare where Johns Hopkins, this elite university, is in Baltimore, where there is such poverty and such a need for services, the juxtaposition just can't be any clearer. And it's really just obscene.
Yeah. We're all compromised and contaminated in certain ways, but some of us some of these ways are just untenable and unacceptable. I hear you loud and clear. Speaking of cities like Baltimore, my board op, Miles, stepped in here during that last commercial break and was saying to me, he says, Tavis, you remember, he calls me Coach, the coach, remember that conversation we had a few weeks ago on the program where we were talking about Donald Trump popping off again, talking about using cities as test grounds. He was talking then about the military, and this is part of the military industrial complex to be sure. But is there any possibility, to your point about people, these persons not having any respect for, indeed having contempt for black life? Can you imagine a scenario under which Donald Trump would be bold enough to use these chocolate cities as testing grounds vis-a-vis this conversation?
Yes, I mean, again, if we look at where nuclear testing has traditionally taken place, even if we just want to look at the United States, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's Native Americans, it's Mexican Americans, it's people of color who have been the victims of this in most cases, not certainly monolithically, but in most cases. And so there is, when you reduce a group of people to being an other, to being something less than human, as we have done ever since slavery, it makes it easier to commit violence against them, right? And so look at the Japanese during World War II. It wasn't, we were very careful in our literature, in our in the newspapers to separate Germans from Nazis and fascists from Italians. But when it came to Japan, they were all guilty for Pearl Harbor. So they were depicted as yellow monkeys and roaches and yellow apes. So when you don't see them as human and you create that other, then you can say drop 2 nuclear weapons, because we're not actually killing mothers and fathers and sons and daughters. We're killing something less than human. And that's what we have traditionally done with people of color, especially African Americans in this country since slavery. And so, yes, you could certainly see where there's just a complete and utter disregard for that human life, and to say, well, if they are the victims of nuclear testing, if they are, getting thyroid cancer, especially in Black babies or indigenous babies, because that fallout now goes into the grass, the cows eat the grass, that milk now is given to babies, and then you see what happens. This is tradition. This is traditionally what has happened. There's just no limit to how low and the depths of evil of this man and what he's willing to do. So you put Donald Trump, who has no moral compass, as you mentioned, with the weapons that can eliminate life on the planet, and that is just a cocktail that is horrific.
When we come forward, we'll let Professor Vincent Intondi sound off on, weigh in on these arguments for disarmament. I mentioned humanitarian concerns and global security, arguments against disarmament, deterrence, that he referenced a moment ago, in conventional war. We'll let him weigh in on that. And to his point about not wanting to self-promote, he can self-promote all he wants on my program on this particular subject. And so When we come forward, we will also ask him about the work of the Nuclear Times. This hour, in this hour on this program. So more Vincent Intondi when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MAJOR25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MAJOR25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code MAJOR25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with the Vincent Intondi, Cornell University scholar, managing editor of the new about the Nuclear Times, the work that you do there, and how folk can tap in, and say a word about the podcast that you co-host called Minds Blown. So go ahead and you can self-promote on this subject. I ain't mad at you. I approve.
Thank you. Sure. So both things, the podcast and the Nuclear Times, were projects that are aimed for people that don't have PhDs in international relations or physics and again, are in this space 24/7 like I am. This is an issue that can be very confusing and very abstract. You know, climate change, you can see the weather, you can see those things as tangible, but you start talking about ICBMs and Sentinel missiles and people's eyes gloss over and they don't understand it. And so this is how do we reach kind of rank and file individuals? And so the Nuclear Times was actually started in the 1980s. It ran from 82 to 92, had about 100,000 subscribers, and it was a monthly magazine that was to reach, again, the grassroots and the layperson to educate them and inspire them and motivate them on this issue. And so we started it. The archive is actually at Cornell, which is what gave me the idea. And so restarted it in August for the 80th anniversary of dropping the atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And we hope if the funding comes through, we'll be able to get to a print edition like they did. But right now it's all online, and we're always updating it with content. And again, it's easily readable for people that, again, don't live in this space 24/7. And the same with Minds Blown. That podcast was, again, created to reach folks that are not, experts in this in any way. And I do the same thing with my writing, whether it's in both books, I try to thread that needle between books that can be assigned in, say, a course in college, but also can reach people and they can relate to it. And, again, not have to have a PhD in this stuff to understand it. So that is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart in this work, because I think it's desperately needed. The wonky academic journal that 3 people are reading in a university library, to me, isn't going to move the needle at all. And we have to think of different ways to reach people.
Nope. I talk to academicians all the time, which won't surprise you, but I only want to talk to the academicians who have what I call a usable intellect. If you can't break it down for me in this audience, I can't use you. So is your intellect usable? You brilliant academic, you, and clearly Vincent Intondi has a usable intellect. The book that I referenced earlier, one of his books is called African Americans Against the Bomb. African Americans Against the Bomb. If you want to track that down, the podcast is called Minds Blown. You can listen and follow him when he does his podcast. And of course, the publication, the online publication, is called The Nuclear Times. That's how you get tapped into the work that Vincent Intondi is doing, and work that's critically important right about now, given that Donald Trump once again is popping off about nuclear testing again, which might put us back in the midst of an arms race. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Professor Intondi, we'll let him weigh in on the arguments for and against disarmament. That's how we'll wrap this powerful conversation when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council me to $1,200 a year for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This Thanksgiving at Total Wine & More, find bourbons and Cabernets that you adore. Our helpful guides are so friendly and nice. So many bottles to try at the lowest price. So gather with friends as you sit down to eat. Grateful for all who made Thanksgiving complete.
With curbside pickup and delivery available and the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
I got about 3 or 4 minutes left here, Professor Intondi. I'll give it all to you to talk about the arguments for disarmament, that is, humanitarian concerns, global security, the arguments against disarmament, deterrence, conventional war. The mic is yours for the next 3 minutes.
All right. Deterrence is not a real policy. It's an idea. Deterrence is you're hoping that rational individuals who have nuclear weapons will not use them. When we look at the amount of near accidents, as Robert McNamara, former Secretary of Defense for John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy said, it is luck that has gotten us out of this so far. If you look at deterrence, if deterrence worked and Russia has nuclear weapons, then why is Ukraine still fighting back? If deterrence worked and Israel is the only country in the Middle East with nuclear weapons, why were the Palestinian people still fighting back? If deterrence worked, in terms of the destruction and death that it causes, nuclear disarmament is the only way forward for our civilization. And when I think of why I feel this way or why others should feel this way, I am often guided by the words of the great Audre Lorde, who said, survival is the greatest gift of love that we can give one another. And what better way to do that than to ensure that these weapons of death are eliminated once and for all?
Survival is the greatest gift of love we can give to each other. Love anybody, quoting Audre Lorde on this program. And Vincent Intondi laid into that. He is, again, a scholar at Cornell University, managing editor of the Nuclear Times, executive director of the Oregon Physicians for Social Responsibility, and co-host of the podcast Minds Blown, author of a book I recommend called African Americans Against the Bomb. I said earlier, this is not a sexy subject, but I love his usable intellect. He made this thing make sense for all of us in this hour, and for that I am grateful. Professor Intondi, thank you for this spirited and insightful conversation. An honor, sir, to have you on this program. Please enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks so much for having me, Tavis.
My honor to have you on the program. Thank you for your time, sir. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Senator Dick Durbin is defending his vote to end the shutdown after backlash from Democrats.
I share their opinions of this administration, but cannot accept a strategy which wages political battle at the expense of my neighbor's paycheck or the food for his children.
The bill funds SNAP through next September and keeps most of the government running until January 30th. Black Congresswoman Terry Sewell visited the Selma Area Food Bank, which reports a 30% spike in demand during the shutdown. She's pushing for federal funding to protect SNAP and keep food banks serving families in Alabama's Black Belt. And TMZ says Wendy Williams has been reevaluated and does not have frontotemporal dementia. Doctors found no sign of the condition that put her under guardianship in 2022, and her legal team now plans to fight to restore her independence. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Families have been loving LifeSource Whole House Water Systems for over 40 years. And now when you buy LifeSource, you can save up to $1,000 with the no sales tax special. Call 800-WATER-99 or visit lifesourcewater.com. And soon, warranty limitations apply.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray.
Missed the Lakers' first 11 games and all of training camp and the preseason. He's been sidelined with a sciatic nerve injury in his lower back and left leg. LeBron has not been able to practice with the Lakers, which prompted the move to send him to the G League. LeBron has been cleared to participate in 5-on-5 workouts with the South Bay team beginning Thursday. The next game for South Bay is Sunday at 5 p.m. against the Rip City Remix, the Portland Trail Blazers G League affiliate. Sunday's game is a home game for South Bay, which plays at the UCLA Health Training Center in El Segundo. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, standing with you in perilous times. If you've been impacted by the federal government shutdown or the discontinuation of SNAP benefits, you can find a food bank near you that's offering free groceries by going to lafoodbank.org or call 211. Additionally, LA County offers free meals at certain parks. There are meals and snacks for kids and seniors. Visit parks.lacounty.gov to find out which centers are offering which programs and to register in advance. And in addition to offering 2 free meals per day for all students, the LA Unified School District provides weekend meal kits for its students by request. The meal kits can be picked up on Fridays at grab-and-go locations. Please visit lausd.org/Cafe LA. That's lausd.org/CAFELA. We keep us safe. We keep us provided for. We keep us connected. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. From Wealthy Wednesday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, we are still celebrating the lives of our veterans, our men and women who have put their lives on the line for the nation, and the unique position that many African American service persons find themselves in, both throughout history, having to defend the rights of the nation, while the nation itself did not necessarily always support or defend the rights of African Americans, including but not limited to the need for 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. But even before these amendments were added to the Constitution to seemingly guarantee us our citizenship rights, we fought in the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812, and even in the Civil War. And then the struggle in first Reconstruction for the right to vote, after the 15th Amendment, period of Jim Crow, which was sitting in Montgomery, and the struggle in Birmingham, through the Civil Rights Movement, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and subsequent public accommodations legislation, which quite frankly, only our generation, I'm age 60, has come to know. This is a very new America. Every day that we live, America is different than the day it was on its founding. No July 4th is the same. There was a July 4th on July 4th, 1776, where only white men could vote. That's not the same as the July 4th after the 15th Amendment, or the July 4th after the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Every July 4th is different. Every Thanksgiving in America is different. Every major holiday in this evolving nation is different because we are either granting people more rights or we are restricting their rights. And no group of people can claim their citizenship rights greater than those Americans who put their lives on the line during this veterans commemoration and celebration of their lives in service for our nation than our nation's veterans. But the African American veteran has a very specific story to tell. With that said, before I bring on our co-host, I do want to say that I've listened very carefully to the shows this morning. Dominique DePrima did an extraordinary job, and Tavis gave us a report on our efforts with Southern California Edison. I have not heard from the boss as to whether or not we are cutting Mr. Pizarro any slack. So since I haven't heard, we're not going to cut him any slack. We are trying to reach the president and CEO of California Edison, Pedro Pizarro, Pedro.Pizarro at sce.com. His number is 626-302-2255. Press number 1 to get to the president's office. I'm still looking for his cell number because if I get a hold of it, we're going to talk about that on the radio as well, because Tavis, Smiley, and certainly KBLA has earned the right and the respect that they deserve to have Southern California Edison return their call. Mr. Pizarro, you need to talk to Tavis. Your very cryptic letter that you sent, from my perspective, and I think the general perspective of the station based upon the commentary that I've heard, is not acceptable. Not acceptable. We are grown, responsible people. Tavis is a multi-award-winning journalist. I am a 17-year former member of Congress. I have my own accolades associated with what we do.